Welcome to this explainer. Look, I really need you to focus right now, okay? Because we're going to talk about a massive financial mistake happening literally all around us. Right now, millions of people are diligently saving up cash for a house down payment, but they're just letting it sit in a bank account while inflation completely eats it alive. So I'm going to show you exactly what happens when you take that exact same money and redirect it into something else, specifically VOO. By the end of this, you're going to have a crystal clear answer on what you should actually be doing with your money in 2026.
60 million. That's the number. Over 60 million Americans are quietly trapped in this cycle right now, actively hurting their financial future. See, we've all been taught for generations that the absolute safest thing you can do is just hoard cash for a home down payment. But guys, in our current economic reality, hoarding cash simply means you're losing purchasing power every single day.
So whether you're, say, 22 and just starting out, or maybe you're 35 renting and stressing over buying a place, this explainer is for you. And let me be totally clear right up front. I'm not here to tell you real estate is bad or that renting forever is some genius move. Nope. I am here for one reason only, and that's the math. We're stacking hard math up against societal expectations. Because society gives you opinions, but math doesn't lie.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1. The American Dream Tax, the real cost of buying a home. Boom! $420,000. To evaluate the default path that almost every American takes, we really need a baseline starting point, right? Well, the median home price in the United States in 2026 is approximately $420,000. I want you to keep that number locked in your head as we build out the rest of this scenario.
Now let's look at the actual steps to get the keys to that $420,000 house. Step 1. You need a 20% down payment just to avoid that pesky private mortgage insurance. That's $84,000 in cold hard cash. Step 2. It takes the average American about 8 to 12 years to save that up. Let that sink in. That is nearly a decade of your life saving, sacrificing, just waiting. And finally, step 3. You get your mortgage. A standard 30-year fixed loan at today's 6.5% rate.
But here is the harsh mathematical reality of that loan. You bought a $420,000 house, right? Minus your $84,000 down payment, that leaves you with a loan amount of $336,000. Your monthly payment on that? $2,124 every single month for 30 years. Meaning over the lifetime of that loan, you will pay back an absolutely wild $764,640.
Now, if you subtract what you borrowed from what you actually paid back, the difference is $428,000. Seriously, grab a pen, write that number down right now. $428,000, and that is strictly interest. That money does not go towards your equity, it doesn't put a new roof on your home, it goes straight into the bank's pocket. That is the massive hidden cost of homeownership that literally nobody puts in those shiny real estate brochures.
So let's pivot sharply. Section 2. The VOO scenario, a different path for your money. Let's take a fork in the road here. Imagine the exact same person with the exact same income. But instead of saving for a down payment for an entire decade, they make a radically different decision. They open a brokerage account today and they just start investing $500 a month into VOO. Now, for those who might not know, what exactly is VOO? It's simply the ticker symbol for the Vanguard S&P 500 ETF. And there are 3 core mathematical reasons this vehicle works so incredibly well. First, broad exposure. It tracks the S&P 500, meaning you instantly own a tiny piece of the 500 largest companies in America. We're talking Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, the whole shebang. Second, ultra-low fees. The expense ratio is practically non-existent at 0.03%. To put that into perspective, for every $10,000 you invest, you're paying just $3 a year. And third, historical resilience. The S&P 500 has averaged roughly a 10% annual return over the last 30 years, and that's surviving crashes, recessions, pandemics, you name it.
Which brings us to the really fun part. Section 3. The power of compounding, building wealth with consistency.
Let's see what actually happens when we combine that $500 a month habit with the unstoppable force of time. I'm going to build this out for you right here. At the 10-year mark, your consistent investment grows to $102,000. And hey, no leaky roofs to fix, no property taxes to pay. Fast forward to the 20-year mark, the compounding really accelerates. You're now sitting on $382,000. And at the 30-year mark, well, the math gets genuinely staggering. You hit $1,130,000. Just look at that number, $1.1 million.
I really want that to sink in for a second. Think about it. You didn't win the lottery. You didn't magically start a billion-dollar tech company. You generated over $1 million simply by redirecting $500 a month in the top 500 companies in America instead of handing hundreds of thousands of dollars in interest over to a bank. It's a total game changer.
And listen, this isn't magic. It's just the mathematical power of compound interest. Actually, Albert Einstein himself reportedly called it the eighth wonder of the world, and it's easy to see why. The true beauty of this entire strategy is that it doesn't require you to be a Wall Street genius or have insane luck. It literally only requires two things: time and consistency. So that brings us to the ultimate crossroads. And honestly, the final thought I want to leave you with today. We've looked at the frankly staggering $428,000 interest cost of the traditional housing path, and we've mapped out the million-dollar reality of the VO scenario. The math is laid out right in front of you, plain as day. So the only question left is, what will you choose to do in 2026? Take some time, run the numbers for yourself, and go take control of your financial future.
Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're tackling the absolute greatest financial debate of our generation: real estate versus index funds. It's the classic American dream of owning a home, pitted directly against the ruthless compounding machine of the stock market. We're setting aside all the emotions, filtering out the outdated advice from your relatives, and we're going to look strictly at the raw, honest math.
Okay, let's dive into this. For decades, we've literally been spoon-fed the idea that buying a house is the ultimate guaranteed path to wealth. But recently, a massive wave of investors are pointing to index funds, specifically the S&P 500 ETF known as VOO, as a superior, totally hassle-free alternative. So what's the real answer here? I need you to just set aside your preconceived notions for a few minutes. We're going to conduct a totally fair comparison and break down exactly what you should do based on your specific timeline.
Section 1. The Real Estate Advantage.
To be totally fair here, we've got to start by validating the heavy hitter, because Team House carries some massive, undeniable advantages. First up is leverage. This is literally the superpower of real estate. You get to control a massive asset while only putting down a fraction of the cost. Second is stability. When you lock in a fixed mortgage, your payment is set. There are no unexpected rent hikes, no risk of a landlord suddenly selling the property and forcing you to move. For families, that eviction protection and sheer peace of mind, it holds immense value. And third, forced savings. Every single time you make that mortgage payment, a portion of it pays down the principal, which essentially builds your equity on autopilot.
And this brilliantly illustrates the true power of leverage. Look, when you put $84,000 down on a $420,000 home, you now control a $420,000 asset. If that home goes up just 20% in value, you just made an $84,000 profit on your initial $84,000 investment. That is a 100% return. You simply cannot safely replicate that kind of leverage return with an index fund like VOO without using margin, which honestly introduces a catastrophic level of risk that I would never, ever recommend.
And that brings us to a fairly hard truth about human psychology. If we're being completely honest with ourselves, most people, if they don't have a massive mortgage forcing them to build equity, they just spend that extra cash on takeout and car leases. In a lot of ways, a mortgage acts as a rigid, unyielding savings account for folks who maybe lack the financial discipline to invest consistently on their own. It literally forces you to build wealth, whether you want to or not.
Section 2. Hidden homeownership costs.
All right, now we need to shift gears and look at the hidden traps of homeownership that nobody really talks about. First up, liquidity. A house is completely illiquid. If an emergency strikes, let's say you lose your job tomorrow, and you suddenly need $30,000 to keep your family afloat, the equity in your home is totally trapped. Getting it out takes weeks, sometimes months of loan approvals, or involves selling the property entirely. Contrast that starkly with VOO. You can sell your index fund shares in seconds right from your phone, and that cash is sitting securely in your bank account in just 2 business days.
It really boils down to this punchy reality. You cannot sell your kitchen. Your wealth might look absolutely amazing on a balance sheet, but if it's entirely locked up in drywall, copper pipes, and granite countertops, it is completely useless to you in a fast-moving financial emergency.
And then, there's the constant financial bleed. Unlike an index fund that just sits quietly and grows, a house actively demands capital, and usually at the worst possible time. The average American bleeds out about 1 to 2% of their home's total value every single year just on routine maintenance and repairs.
Let's run that mathematical reality real quick. On that same $420,000 home we talked about, you're bleeding out roughly $4,200 to $8,400 every single year. That's for the roof, the HVAC system, the plumbing, literally just to keep the asset functioning. Plus, sinking all your money into a house makes it the most undiversified investment possible. Your entire financial future, your emergency fund, your net worth, it is all tied down to one single building, in one single city, in one single zip code. If that local economy tanks, your entire net worth goes right down with it.
Section 3. Your timeline-based strategy.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is we're moving from the objective math into a highly personalized, actionable blueprint for you. We're looking at 3 distinct life situations: if you're under 30 with no house, if you plan to buy a house in 2 to 3 years, and if your timeline is 5 years or more.
Let's focus specifically on the under 30 crowd first. Your immediate, undeniable priority is to max out your Roth IRA. For 2026, that limit is $7,000. That is money that grows completely tax-free. Once that's maxed, you push the rest into VOO through a regular brokerage account. If you just let compound interest work its magic for the next decade, you're going to be in a dramatically stronger financial position at 40 than someone who stretched their budget to the absolute breaking point to buy a house at 25 with nothing left over to invest.
But what if you're actively planning to buy a house in the next 2 to 3 years? Your best move here is to keep your down payment cash in a high-yield savings account. Right now, those are earning a safe, guaranteed 4 to 5%. Do not put short-term down payment money into VOO. The stock market is incredibly volatile in the short term. It can drop 30% in a single year, and you absolutely need that money to be there when the closing date arrives.
Now, if you are 5+ years away from buying a house, leaving your accumulating down payment in a traditional low-yield savings account earning like 0.5% is a guaranteed loss. You're just losing to inflation every single month. In this scenario, it becomes absolutely essential to invest a portion of that cash into an index fund like VOO, so it can actually grow and outpace inflation while you wait.
Section 4. The ultimate wealth goal.
This brings us to the grand takeaway of this entire explainer. The great debate of house versus investing is actually a completely false dichotomy. The goal is not to choose between a house and an index fund. The goal is to build enough wealth through index funds early on that when you finally do buy a house, you are doing it from a position of absolute strength, not desperation. The people who win financially, they buy a house and they have investments. They do not sacrifice their liquid wealth just for a physical structure.
Section 5. Your next action step.
So the crucial point is, information without execution is totally useless. Let's get you set up with a friction-free action plan right now. Step 1, open an account with Fidelity or Vanguard. It literally takes 10 minutes online. Step 2, set up an automatic investment of whatever you can comfortably afford directly into VOO. Step 3, forget about it for the next 10 years. Seriously, that single automated decision could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to your future self. It's the easiest heavy lifting you will ever do for your wealth.
Ultimately, the question isn't whether a house or a stock portfolio is the better mathematical asset. The real question is, what kind of life are you trying to build? Are you looking for the grounded permanence of physical walls or the ultimate geographic and financial freedom that comes with liquid wealth? Let that dictate your strategy. Do me a favor, hit the like button and drop down in the comments, are you Team House or Team VOO? Keep learning, keep investing, and be sure to check out our further resources for setting up a VOO investment. We'll see you in the next explainer.